Good afternoon. So with apples suddenly in abundance, everybody is trying to come up with more things to do with them. So I'm going to show you what I like to do. So the way I like to do my apple chips to dehydrate them, which is what I'm going to do today, I like to use a little bit of rice wine vinegar. You don't need loads, just in the bottom of the bowl there. Add a little bit of water to dilute. Which helps it go a little bit further. And I use my apple whizzer, which is a tool that I absolutely swear by. Although I have just done that wrong because I wasn't paying attention. Now, I absolutely love this, and it's one thing that I am constantly relieved that I've got. If I didn't have this, it would be much, much harder. Look how simple that is. In the bowl. Okay, straight in the bowl, and I'll just keep topping that up as I go. So quick, so easy, perfect. Hardest part of using this machine is remembering to bring it back again before you spear the next one. If I'm using this machine, I like to put them on stalk first. I find they tend to work a little better that way, and you make sure there's a straight line between the blossom end and the stalk. And that way you end up with nice, perfectly cored apples. Every now and then just giving them a little toss in the bowl as I go. So as you can see, here is the core as it's been brought out. If those are properly aligned, it comes out really well, even if the apple's really wonky. So as you can see, this one, the straight line is at an odd angle compared to the shape of the apple. But as long as that core is lined up straight, the apple can wobble about as much as it likes. So these are Discovery apples, which I absolutely adore. They're from a neighbour tree, so I know they haven't been sprayed with anything. And I just absolutely love the colouring that comes out in the apple chips. It's that beautiful pinky tinge that just looks so delicious. And comes for slightly pink apple sauce, which is just lovely. I think it's my kids' favourite pastime to just sit at the end of the apple whizzer and just eat the skin. So those are good mix round. I've done these several different ways. I've done them plain, I've done them in lemon juice, lime juice. My favourite, I have to say, is rice wine vinegar, and I can't remember who suggested it, but it's amazing. It just adds a slightly savoury note to them. And because of the acid, it stops them browning, which is fantastic. I find generally about a bowl's worth tends to fill the dehydrator, so we'll see how this goes, shall we? One done in the dehydrator. So with the apple skins here that I've removed, I'm just going to quickly dunk these in. Give them a quick toss. So I'll dry these along with the apple chips and I will powder these afterwards, which is fantastic to use in baking. Snap, snap, snap. I'm going to call those good. Good morning. So it's the next day. These apples have been in the dehydrator for about 12 hours. As you can see, they snap really nicely. There's no moisture left in there whatsoever. And they're very tasty. So I'm going to get them stored. You can hear them make a great noise as they ting into the jar. Another reason I love these sheets. I use them even when I don't necessarily need them, because there's always a useful service they can provide. That was 3 shelves, just about fills one of these large Dow Egberts jars. So that's all the apple chips. I will even them out later on. Next, we have our skin, which, as you can see, is nice and brittle and dry. So we're going to get that powdered up now. I'm going to get my little grinder attachment bowl and get all this fed in. It takes a surprising amount once you start squishing it all down. Lid on, and we're just going to blitz this until it's nice. You need a fair amount in order to get it nice and fine. So once we've broken that down a little bit, I'm going to add some more that I stashed in a jar without busting down last time I did a bunch of apples. There we go. So now we've got a nice fine powder there. That's a little bit warm, so I'm just going to leave that open for a second. Give it a little bit of shake just to let out most of that moisture. So I'm going to get the powder into the jar. Simple. Just give that a good shake there. A little bit more. So, what I like to do next is I've got these little DIY make your own tea bag pouches, and I get a little bit of rice, stick it in the tea bag, fold that over, and I just keep that in my jar, which will help stop that clumping and keep it all nice and fresh. So there is the first thing I do when I get a glut of apple, and I will be doing an applesauce video later on this afternoon, hopefully. Look at that, fluffy. So here is our jar of apple slices. Yum, 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 yum. Now these I use for lots of things. I break them up, put them on my muesli. You can rehydrate them, use them in baking. One of my favourite things is some kind of apple crumble biscuits, which these work really well in, and it's approximately a litre jar for a batch of biscuits, which is perfect. Really, really useful. What I will do with these now is I do need to condition these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them in the jar. I'm not going to put the jar in the cupboard just yet. I'm going to leave it out for a week. Make sure there's nothing condensates inside the jar. If it does, that's an indication that there's a little bit of moisture left in there and they'll need re-drying. I have to say this doesn't happen very often. I tend to make sure they're properly dry before I put them away, but it can happen, so it's always worth checking because you don't want that going funky in storage. Enjoy.